Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Russ. My last name is Maidlow. It's Maidlow. I own a business in Davenport, Iowa called Allied Barber and Supply. It is the busiest barbershop in Davenport that doesn't cut hair. You don't know what I mean by that, but it's funny to me. Anyway, like the entire foundation of my business and how I got into doing what I'm doing is because I was dealing with depression incorrectly, and I think people have a lot of misconceptions about how to correctly deal with things, or what the steps are, and so I wrote up a blog post. The thing with my blogging is that I write how I talk, so it can be a little bit hard to read for some people. So I thought I would also talk the things that I wrote. So without further ado, and apologies because this might be kind of long, and I'm not used to recording myself, so it's a little awkward for me. Here's a guide that I wrote, and it's called A Guide to Folding Laundry, and that'll make sense as we get towards the end. So to start out with, I'm somebody that's been through just about every traumatic experience that a person can go through. In a lot of cases, more than once in my lifetime. I want to talk about this to help people that are leery about going to therapy because they've had friends that are like, oh, I went and it didn't do anything for me. I just want to talk to you about how that works. If you're thinking about going to therapy, because it does help. It just you have to follow all of the steps. Just talking about things doesn't help. At least not long term. It helps short term. So anyway, I've been through a lot of bad shit in my lifetime, and yeah, I think this is it's confusing for a lot of people seeing me talk about this stuff, and I hope that honestly helps somehow to see this huge guy with the beard and the knuckle tattoos and tattoos all of his arms and stuff, that this big manly man talk about feelings, and maybe it'll convince you that you can do it too. But anyway, so like I've been through a lot of bad shit. My therapist, when I was 11, told me I needed to try being a kid for a while because childhood only lasts so long. Joke's on him because I'm 40, almost 42, and still very much a man child. The therapist that I saw at 21, you'll notice there's a pattern here. Told me that I had had a more eventful life at that point in my life than he had in his, and he was 50, which is, I guess, nice to hear that you've had a very eventful life at 21. The problem is that I went to a lot of therapists. I grew up in foster care from the age of 10 on until I graduated high school. And I didn't use it correctly. In fact, I didn't use it at all, honestly. I felt like it was a waste of time, and that I could figure everything out on my own. And it honestly wasn't until my late 30s I was heading back towards the point of wanting to self-harm or commit suicide or whatever you feel like calling it. I know a lot of people are like trying to shame calling it committing suicide, but I attempted suicide in 2005 and survived. So I feel like I can call it whatever I want, and I do. So call it whatever you want. Long and short of it, I was 30, 37, 38, and I was on the verge of killing myself again, attempting to take my own life. And it finally, it hit me that all I really wanted was the pain to stop. And, there might be another way of making that pain stop. And, for somebody that had been to a dozen therapists at different points in his life, it was just like, you know what, I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try it for real. and see if we can actually work through these things. And again, there's a lot. There's people tell me I need to write a book about it, but I'm pretty busy trying to get this business off of the ground, so we'll see. First and foremost, the most common misconception in my eyes about therapy is that, and where things ultimately go wrong for most people, is that I went, I went for a year, and I talked to this person, every couple of weeks about everything that was going on in my life, and it didn't do anything. The thing you have to understand there is that talking about it doesn't actually help. Talking about it is the equivalent of like a drug, where like you get it out and you told somebody about it, and you got high for a minute. Maybe it was a couple weeks, maybe it was a day, whatever. Having that weight lifted off of your shoulders kind of give you that euphoria of being high, and from there, a couple weeks later or whatever, you're back to the same, the thoughts just swirling through your mind and eating you alive, and that's pretty much what happens. So just talking about it doesn't actually help. The way I tell people to look at it is that if it's in here, in your bald head or whatever your head looks like, it's a million pounds of things, and talking about them, we're gonna get real metaphorical here for the rest of this, pretty much. Talking about it is taking this really heavy thing out of your head, and it's the equivalent of turning it into a bright red helium balloon. Grab a bright red balloon, right? I'm sad because my dog died on it or whatever, and you're holding it up and it doesn't weigh anything, and boy do you feel better, and you've got a big red balloon, right? Like, awesome, got a balloon, this thing, like I'm telling people about it, it feels so much better. But the thing is that balloons eventually lose air. So just putting it on the balloon doesn't actually do anything for you, other than like give you that little rush that you get this cool big red balloon for a minute. It's a weird analogy, but it's not far off. I also have ADHD, so pardon the marker clicking every once in a while in the background. So all of that stuff, like you can get everything out of your head, and you can be carrying around the biggest bunch of balloons that anybody's ever seen. You're carrying around 400 balloons, and it's about to lift you off the ground. Like, you're really high. But all of those balloons are going to lose the helium, and then you're just going to be dragging them around. Some of those balloons, they're made out of things that are so heavy that they're going to become anchors, and you're just dragging those behind you. And not only you'll be back in the place that you were, like now you're in a worse spot, because those things are just dragging you down even more than they were, because that for a couple of days there, weeks or whatever, like things were really good. But now everything's back, and it's even heavier than it was because you talked about it, and it feels so much worse now that you talked about it, and it didn't actually make anything better. Those things are just swirling around in your mind. And that's the part where going to therapy, and what therapy is actually supposed to do, is to help you process things. Talking about it is not processing it. Talking about it is admitting that you have this thing going on in your life that you need to deal with. Processing it is, in my equivalent, or what I would call that is like, make a list of everything that's going on in your head right now. The things that are dragging you down, as many as you can think of. Just write them down, make a list. And this is the part where it gets really, really hard. But a therapist is going to steer you towards, at least, on the big stuff, towards what to blame, to not give a, because the hardest part about this is taking those things, getting your list. Once you've got your list down, you split that list into things that you can actually control, things that are happening right now, things that are happening in the future, and the things that you have no control over. Stuff in the past, stuff you didn't have any control over to begin with. And you make your two columns, your A's, the things you can do about now, and change, and the things that you can't do anything about, things that happened in the past, things that happened, that happened tertiary, and you didn't have any control over them to begin with, things that happened when you were a kid. And you take the B list, the things you didn't have any control over, and you stop caring about them. You don't care anymore. They happen to you. It's a thing. It's a thing that weighs on your mind a little bit, but there's nothing you can do about those things. And then you just simply, okay, there's nothing I can do about those. And that sounds like it's not possible, but that's because you've been carrying those things around for so long. And I will tell you that I went through the same process. It was just like, okay, I really don't have any control over these things, but they still ate at me, and it was just like, it was getting pretty bad to where it was just like I was getting to the point where I felt like therapy wasn't doing anything for me, and I talked to my therapist about that, and it was just like, I come in and I talk about these things and I process them. I process them, what I feel is a correct manner, and but it doesn't really seem to help. And she was kind of like, well, if you process them, they don't really matter anymore, do they? And it's like, well, kind of, because they still weigh on my mind. And it's like, she was like, well, that's because you let them. You don't have to let them. You can just let them go. And that is the part of therapy that makes things so difficult, because you have to decide that it's okay to let those things go. And for a lot of people, that's hard, because some of those things have been swimming around in your head for 10, 20, 30, however many years, however old you are, they've become a part of you in your mind. Are they actually a part of you? Kinda. It's an experience that brought you to where you are today, but they don't necessarily have to be bad things, and they don't have to define you. And that's one of the crucial things that people need to understand, is just like, yeah, some stuff happened to you in your past, or some stuff is happening to you right now, but that doesn't define you. You define you. Is that a part of you? Yeah, maybe. Does it have to be a huge part of you? Not at all. And like I said, I've been through a lot of shit. I don't let any of those things define me, other than I try to approach, as many people as I can with a sort of compassion and understanding for what they're going through, because I've also been through a lot of crap. And, sometimes it sounds like one-upism when I talk to them, just because it's just like, but that honestly, that's how a lot of people with ADHD relate to people, is just that, oh, I've been through something similar. I'm sorry that you're going through that. And it's not, oh yeah, well, look at you. I've been through that too. So you're not important. It's just saying that I understand you because I've been through that. Which is a really hard thing to explain to people. Anyway, so let's get to folding laundry. The thing is like all of that stuff that's going on in your head, it's driving you crazy, it's weighing you down, it's making you think about jumping off a bridge, or just driving you loony. It's like a giant pile of laundry. Nobody likes laundry. It's I don't care what anybody says. It's great having clean laundry, but the actual putting away and stuff like that, nobody enjoys doing that. If you do, you might need therapy too. Welcome to the club. But the thing is about that mountain of laundry is it's not going anywhere. You have to do something to it. In this sense, you're taking away. You imagine that mountain of laundry is every piece of clothing you've ever owned in your entire life. You got to sort through that laundry and figure out, okay, this is the stuff that I don't wear anymore. This is stuff that's from the past. Fold it up nicely, put it in a box, stick it in the closet, accept that you own that laundry. Okay, I still have these shirts from when I was 8 or whatever, and they're a part of you. You know that you own them. You are aware that they're there, but you can fold them up nicely and you can just put them away, or you can donate them to Goodwill, or you can do whatever you want with them. But you don't have to just have that be a part of the mountain of laundry. You can file those away, and just acknowledge they exist and set them by the side somewhere out of the way. You don't need them anymore. And just keep doing that until you get to the stuff that you wear every day. And the stuff that you wear every day, maybe it needs to go on a hanger. It's something that doesn't necessarily need to get folded just yet. It's something you need to still be in your life every day. So you hang that up in the closet where you can easily get to it and deal with it and wear it, in this instance or whatever. But basically just keep doing that until all of the laundry that you have is the stuff that you're wearing every day. And then replace the ones you don't like and get a new wardrobe, in a sense. And just keep going until you like all the outfits that you wear. Are you still going to have some duds? Or are you going to have a shirt that you don't like? Yeah, probably. Can you accessorize that with a better hat? Yeah, probably. It's there's things in life that you have to deal with that just suck. And the thing is knowing how to deal with them. How to accessorize that weird colored shirt with a nicer looking jacket is what makes life doable. And that's what therapy is going to teach you how to do. It's going to teach you to fold the shit laundry and pack it away and get rid of it, and make better outfits out of the clothes that you have today. And that's how you have to approach it, because just going out and buying new clothes, it's gonna feel good for about a week, but if you don't know how to make an outfit out of it, you're not gonna feel any better. You're just gonna have a bunch of new clothes, which is gonna make things worse when you realize that you made that mountain of laundry 10 feet higher with all the new clothes that you just bought. So you got to learn to process the old stuff and learn to not give a crap about it, so that you can focus on the things that are actually important and you have control of. And that's all I've got for today. If you want to see more about what I do, check out alliedbarber.com. I am facebook.com/alliedbarber, alliedbarberqc on Instagram, and that is all the social media I do right now, because I have ADHD and I own a business and I don't have time for social media. Have a good day, and fold your laundry.